For the last few years, I've been studying the flow of money and how everything works. Why are there some people where it seems like money is just attracted to them on everything that they do? And on the other end of the spectrum, why does it seem like there are some that are just money repellents? No matter how hard they try, they do not have success in getting people to give them money. Luckily for you, I'm gonna tell you exactly why it happens, because after years of studying the rich, I've realized everything society has told you about making money and saving money and investing money is completely wrong. And if you don't understand these concepts I'm about to explain, you will continue to be poor and left wondering why you can't figure it out. Let me start off by saying that I used to have a very negative connotation of those who were making money and spending it on materialistic things. If somebody was out buying a new watch or a fancy car or taking those private plane rides, I would always think like, man, that person is such a waster of money. They're just flaunting and doing all this stuff, and I would have natural envy/bitterness towards those people. On the other end of the spectrum, I'd have a really high respect level for somebody who was making good money, but choosing to be super frugal and saving it. These were the people that I wanted to praise because I grew up reading books like The Millionaire Next Door, where they talk about how that is the way to become really wealthy. But what I have realized is that these frugal people are actually some of the most greedy people and worst people for society and the economy. Which leads to the next question of how do you determine if somebody is a good member of society with how they manage their money? Well, it's pretty simple. You need to watch how money flows to them and through them. So let's talk about how money flows to them. How exactly are they attracting money? What people don't understand is the world tells you what you're worth based on what they're willing to pay you. And this applies to every aspect where money is exchanged. For example, if I'm your boss and I'm deciding how much salary or hourly rate I want to give you, I am simply looking at you, placing a value on what it is you are doing, and saying you are worth this much. And if you don't agree with it, and I am the person willing to pay you the most money, then you are worth that much money. That's what the world tells you you are worth, whether you agree with it or not. But this also applies to entrepreneurs in our business. If I am selling a product or a service, I'm going to put a price on it that I think it's worth. If nobody wants to buy it from me, that tells me they do not see value in this product or service, and therefore my business and what I'm selling is not worth very much. But on the flip side, if I'm able to go sell my products and services for a lot of money and there's a lot of demand, then it tells me that what I'm selling has a ton of value, and this is what people are placing that value at. So your customers and clients will determine your value based on how many dollars they're willing to pay you for your product. And this applies not only to businesses, but it also applies to charities and nonprofits. How much money you're able to raise for your nonprofit is dictated upon how much these other people are willing to give you, because they believe in what you're doing and the value you're creating for the world. The biggest nonprofits have done the best job of explaining their value to all of these donors. If you have a nonprofit that's struggling to raise money, it means that people aren't valuing what you're doing enough. If you were doing a good enough job explaining it and people understood it, they would give you money to continue your cause. And look, you're not gonna hear this from society. We live in this culture of the participation trophy. If you try really hard at something, people should support you and give you a pat on the back and all this stuff. Congrats, you started a business or you did something nice for somebody, you get a pat on the back. People's true vote is with their dollars. They don't really mean it unless they're willing to give you money for it. And so if you're having a hard time attracting money, don't get offended by what people are doing. Simply change what you're doing and adjust and become more valuable. The richest people and organizations in the world are masters at attracting money to them. And it's not because they're just manipulators or they got this leg up or whatever. The reality is they are really good at communicating to the world the type of value they bring, and people are willing to give them money for that value. On the other hand, it's easy to tell when you're talking to a poor person because they complain that people don't value them enough, they're underpaid, that the world doesn't see their talent, and all this other stuff. And the reality is, complaining is never gonna get you anywhere. That's definitely not gonna make you more valuable. In fact, it's gonna continue to make you less valuable because nobody's gonna wanna work with a complainer. So the moral of the story is, whatever it is you're doing has a money value placed upon it by society, whether it's right or wrong. Now, once you figure out how to get money to flow to you, you then start judging a person on how money flows through them. Essentially, once you get the money, what exactly are you doing with it? Well, watching how people use their money is very telling of what it is they believe and what their priorities are. For example, let's take the people I talked about earlier that I really used to look down upon, who were spending all their money on fancy stuff, material things, and everything else. And let's just take the extreme example where they spend all of their money on that. They don't save it all, they're not donating, they're not giving to any kind of causes, it's all selfish stuff. Well, you can determine that that person has a pretty selfish nature because they're only concerned about fulfilling their own desires. But that doesn't necessarily make them a bad person for society in terms of how money is handled. In fact, those people are actually really important for society. The fact that they're spending a lot of money is helping all of the businesses that they're spending the money at. And because they're spending money at these businesses, others are able to have jobs and it keeps the economy flowing. And that's the key with money. You always want it to continue flowing. That is what makes the economy go. When the flow of money stops is when there's a problem. And this brings me to the other end of the spectrum, where you get people who are making good money, but all of a sudden they're not spending it, they're hoarding it, they may not even be donating it or investing it, they may just want to sit on a fat pile of cash because they probably have a scarcity mindset. This person is to not be applauded because they are stopping the flow of money and they're not helping anyone else by not spending, not investing, not donating. They're not doing anything productive for society. And that's why I said these people are actually kind of the worst people for society. When the flow of money stops with one person, it is bad for everyone else. This is actually how you go into recessions. When people stop spending, that's when the layoffs happen, that's when companies go bankrupt, and it's just bad for everyone else. And the truth is, we all fall in between these two ends of the spectrum somewhere. There might be some of you watching this who are very passionate about donating and giving to causes. I could look at how the money flows through you and say, yeah, that is a priority for that person. Maybe you're not big on spending your money, but you want to invest it into businesses and real estate and other things. That's another great thing for society. You're helping the businesses, you're helping the real estate industry, you're helping all the workers with that real estate and those businesses. That's great. The flow of money is continuing. But if I saw somebody who put a lot of money towards investing, it tells me personally that they really value their future. They're willing to sacrifice spending now to have a payout in the long run. But the truth is, the ideal person for society is somebody who does all of these things. They're really good at attracting money because people see the value in what they're doing and they want to give them their money. They're then spending some money on material things because it's good for the economy. They're able to enjoy their life now and get some of the fruits of their labor today. But they're also disciplined enough to go donate to specific causes that they're passionate about. They're also reinvesting into different investments for their future. And then they're saving a smaller portion of their money. If you have too much money in savings, it's actually a bad thing for everyone. I'm not saying you shouldn't have any savings at all, but you should set a good reserve amount that's keeping you safe and allowing you to do all of the other things with your money. Which leads to the final point. What society has always told you about saving money isn't necessarily true. When the flow of money stops, it's not good for anybody.